All righty then. Oh, yeah, that was terrible. How we doing, guys? It's Hack Nation Live. I'm your host, Aaron Bennett, coming to you Wednesday night, 7 to 9 Central Time, like every Wednesday night. See how many people we can help out. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Let's see here. Well, that's pretty charged up. Go ahead and charge this cancer box instead. How you guys all doing? Got one caller. He's been on hold for quite some time. He called way before the show started. Going to go ahead and take and make sure our phone lines are working. Why not? Let's see here. David, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Yes, Aaron.
Hey, man, what's going on?
Yes, sir. I had a real quick question for you. If you had a 6MZ Caterpillar, stock 550, I'm assuming that thing is what, 1850 on the torque side?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. You know, my question is, that thing is rated on the engine, on the tag, at 2100 RPMs. Nobody runs that engine at 2100 RPMs. What is that actual torque and horsepower at your operating range of maybe 15 or 1600?
Okay, so here's something a lot of people don't understand about the way the diesel engine especially operates. You know, the law is 52, and that's at 5,500 or 5,252 RPM. That's where torque and horsepower meet. Diesel engines don't go that high, so that's really a relative term that kind of means nothing to us, right? It might mean something to guys in the racing world. It is an applicable term, but it doesn't mean anything to us. Your diesel engine is going to hit that max torque. Your 1850 is going to be somewhere between 1,100 and 1,300 RPMs. That's going to be where the mapping has been designed on pretty much any diesel engine to already be producing that torque. Any RPM above that can actually drop your torque rating because there's less time for optimizing fuel and air ratios. So if you're taking a cat engine up to 1,600 RPMs, you're not gaining any torque out of it at all. You're not getting any more for the horsepower. What you would, why would you ever want to run one up there? Well, a good example of that is if I'm pulling a hill and it's slick out, that gives me more leeway as the engine's coming down and I have to shift, right? But anytime I can be running the engine at a lower RPM in that torque band, I'm going to get better fuel mileage. Everything's going to be more optimal. And even though they say they're designed to run like that, guys that actually run them up there experience a lot of broken valve train components, rocker arms, and it's almost always on the exhaust side. If you like, I just had a guy call me yesterday, and he's explaining to me what keeps happening to multiple of his trucks, and they keep breaking all the rocker or the exhaust valves. And it's their cat engines, like, well, or maybe they're coming, I don't know. But his drivers admit that they're running them up there to, 2,300 RPMs, and I'm sure they're jaking off that high, and they're breaking the valve. So I don't care what it says on the tag. Experience shows, and I would hire new drivers, and they would start breaking, if they weren't familiar with cats, they were born and raised in red engines. It was almost predictable they were going to start breaking rocker arms on my cats because they would jake off, at 19, 2000. But in reality, if I'm pulling a hill and if it seems like, wow, this thing seems like it has max torque when I lug it all the way down to 1,200, 13 or 1,100 RPM, 1,300 RPM, that's because that's exactly what's going on. You're optimal right there. The turbo's already optimized for the torque band in that RPM range. Anything above that is actually taking away from that torque. That makes sense?
Yes, it does. Would you lug a 6NZ 550 down to 1200?
The fucking A, I would. Well,
Okay.
with the deciding factor on that, here's the thing. I have pulled 18% grades with 6NZs, with brake saver tunes in them, loaded 96 to 113,000, and hung in at 1,200, 1,300 RPMs for extended periods of time. We're talking 15, 18 minutes. And you just got to watch the pyro. If your pyro starts to get away from you, you have to grab a gear. It's like riding a 10 speed. You know, you don't have to change the RPMs, but you got to change how hard the engine has to work to maintain that RPM, right? If the pyrometer isn't getting away from you, if the pyrometer isn't getting away from you, it doesn't hurt anything to hang in there.
What do you mean by, what are you talking, 1100? 12?
So Cat would tell you that 1200 on the pyro can be sustained. I don't agree with them so much because I have seen engines, you know, if you're sustaining that for 15 minutes, you're probably going to regret it, right? Can you sustain that for 2 or 3 minutes? Sure you can. You start, but you're riding the fence right there. You start getting up there 13, 1400, man, you are running some high risk. So my rule of thumb is if I'm not going over 1100, fuck it, I'm going to hang in there. Right? And I'm talking post turbo. Post exhaust side. So
okay, yeah, I was just curious if a 550 Cat, the way they have it on the tag at 2100, if it had 550 at 2100, what does it have at 1500?
Right.
Spinning that charger.
So your horsepower is dependent on the RPM, right? So for them to give you that 550 number that they're putting on there, so they can get their bragging rights, that was rated at 2150, right? So. But that horsepower number doesn't mean shit. It really doesn't. Horsepower in the racing world is a really big deal because it's how fast you can get to that max torque band. Doesn't really mean anything for a diesel world, really.
Okay, I see. Okay, all right. Okay, appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Have a good night, man.
Yeah, you too.
If your engine's rated for 1850 torque and it says it's a 600 horsepower, right, which is really like a 2050 torque. Let's say your 2050 torque, 600 horsepower. And your horsepower rating is at 2150. That doesn't tell you anything about when you hit that 2050 torque, right? That 2050 torque can be optimized at 1300, 1400 RPMs. And your mapping is going to be different on your engines a little bit. Cat mapping, you're hitting that torque band somewhere between 11, 13, 1400. Cat tells you not even to take them over 1400 if you can help it. Try driving your N14 like that. It's not going to like you at all, right? It's not going to appreciate that at all. That's all mapping. Your N14 is looking for starting in the bottom end 1300, 1400 really, and on up there to 17 or even 18. That's where it's going to hit that torque band. So you got to know where your mapping is at for the optimal fuel air ratio to get that torque. You can really throw your horsepower out the window when you're hitting that max torque. That's really the focus. And we all worry about the horsepower. I want 700 horsepower. It really translates out to torque when you're hitting that torque. Anyhow, yeah. All right. On to the next caller, I suppose. Already got a lot of callers. Holy cow, it's going to be one of those kind of shows. We're going to be on callers. All right. You're on the air. Brother, what can I do? I got to get a new mic. Hello.
You hear me?
Yeah, man. Hit me with it.
Hey, I just recently bought a W900L, and the guy showed me the paperwork, and it said the tune was a 6NZ 550, and turns out it's an MBN with a 6NZ computer, but it still has the MBN turbo with the electrical wastegate. I was wondering if I could put a 6NZ turbo on it, and what do I do with the wastegate hose that goes all the way around the block to the filter on the other side?
Okay, so you have an MBN. See, the MBN has totally different timing and mapping. It has a different camshaft, different injectors, and actually has a different piston crown. Other than that, and a different turbo. So you have 4 items there that are not the same. So you can't just and the ECM tune, the tune in the ECM is different. So it's actually 5 line items that are different. So you can't just go and throw a non-wastegated turbo on there and run off to the race and everything. And I've seen guys do it. I'm not really sure how bad it is, but it's not meant to be that way, in my opinion. You know, a lot of guys love their MBNs. We sell a lot of MBN kits. We build a lot of MBNs here. Most of them may or may not end up as 6NZs. Neither here nor there. A lot of guys run the MBN the way that it was designed to be, and they love them. I don't, you know, they don't have like this negative connotation. Oh, you got an MBN, that's a piece of shit, right? That's not the engine you want to have. So I don't know. I don't know that I would say you need to change it. I would suppose if it's time to overhaul it, maybe you could look into it. But if you're gonna do it, you got to do all of it, right? All 5 line items.
Right.
You can't just pick one. You're gonna end up like them Acer boys that, you know, kind of destroy the whole thing. And if I understand it right,
the thing is,
sorry, go ahead.
I really don't know if everything else is done on it. I haven't been in that. Only had it for 3 months, and I've been driving it. It's been running pretty good, but I started looking into it. I found where the serial number was on the block finally, and I seen that it was an NBN. And I started looking into it. It said all about the crank and injectors, all that needed to be changed to have that. But it the computer I know because I had it put in the computer and to see like what it was rated at, and it was all the serial numbers, the 6NZ, everything, and the 550 tune on it. But I look on the block, and the block says NBN.
Well, I mean, your sign is the turbo. You know, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
You know, I know a guy can just take a 6NZ type turbo and put it on there. I'm not saying he can't do that, right? What are the negative connotations of that? I don't really know, so I'm not going to pretend to know, right? I'm not going to tell you, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen, right? So what I know is that NBN decker pattern sprays the outsole. On a 6NZ, it sprays the inside of the different. They have a different injector. They have a different camshaft. The timing is different. So if you done snapping on it, and you still have all that NBN stuff. That's not good. All I'm saying. Can't answer your other questions because I don't know what's been done good.
Right. So before I really need to know everything that's done to it before I go to change.
Figure it out is take off the pin cover and open up one of the valve injector camshaft. If they're 6NZ, you know, somebody kind of went all the.
Wow. All right. So
Have a good.
You too.
Anyway. Fucking internet, man, I swear. There aren't different pistons between the 6NZ and MBN? Brother, man, I sell overhaul kits around the clock. Absolutely a difference between the MBN piston crown and the 6NZ piston crown. They're literally different kits. But thanks for your opinion. Guys in the comment section. I'm back. Had a brain fart. I was just reading the comment sections. All right, you're on the air. Chad, what can we do for you, brother?
Hey, talk to me in real tone, all right? I got an issue and I need your real opinion, okay?
I'll see.
So, I got a 2025 589. It's got the Clemens X15 565 2050 torque, okay? It's currently in the shop right now. I've had some issues with it, with the dust blowing all over the top of my stacks. They're claiming it was a thermostat that had some battery. Now they got it all fixed. Now, do you think that's going to hurt my SCR and my DPS box?
I think that so you're saying you have black all down your stacks.
No, not black. The white. It's raw depth. It's like my temperature from them. It would never get over. Riding temperature would be like 179 on a hill. Like if I was on fancy grand, it would only get up to like 183, 185 tops. It never got to optimal heat. And from what I was told, these new motors, they run at 190 to like 210.
They can run quite a bit hotter than that.
Yeah, but I never got over like I told you, 183, 185 maybe.
Right.
I always rode at 179.
So the valuation that you had a thermostat issue sounds correct. I don't understand the question.
Do you think that from me driving it since it was brand new, okay, I always thought that 179 was optimal. But the dealer told me,
that's too
no,
cold. That's too
well, exactly. That's what I had thought, because I had other Peterbilts that were in the 180, 190, possibly 200 range. But I asked you from the last February till now, I think it would have caused the CR, the DPF box, from pushing all that raw fuel.
Yeah, it certainly could. I don't know if it did, but
Mm-hmm.
it certainly could.
Mm-hmm. That means it seemed like everyone that designers were trying to do other things, and it was too much. Always trying to heat up the temp. It can never heat up. That. But it probably scope it with the scope to see if there is damage, like premature damage. I just wanted your take on it.
Yeah. I've heard it. I've given certainly How's your damage?
company that offers tuners,
You mean
performance,
PDI?
I wasn't going to say that if I was allowed to, but yeah, that's what I was getting at.
But
They don't have one out yet.
Their PDI is emission compliant. Their tuner is emission compliant. So you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, but they only have it for the EPA 24 engine. I have the new engine
Right.
for mine. Yeah, they said they can't see it.
15 of them here was going to resell them and decided not to sell any of them. After I got to reset my
That's your honest opinion.
yeah, I got to reset my internet though. Is there anything else?
Yeah, and what's your take on the Pittsburgh Power Max mileage?
No clue. Never dealt with it. I didn't know they made anything.
You've never heard of them?
Of course, I've heard of them.
Oh, Mr. Max mileage.
Oh,
Or you think it actually does something?
I don't think it will do shit for you. Not on a mod for you.
All right, fair enough. Thanks for the help.
All right, brother. Bye.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to reset my internet. It will come all back. You just have to give it a minute. Hang on 1 second. lot of people hung on, but that's all good. Here they are. We're back. Maybe the internet won't stop being such a piece of shit. We'll see here. Maybe. All right. Back to the callers here. Logan, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Yeah, this is Logan. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come on.
So I've got a couple of older Steiger tractors that have the 855 big cam in them. And I've seen one of your videos showing where you sell the pump, the nozzles, the turbo, and everything to turn them up to 550 plus horse. I know most of your work is in semis. Didn't know if you thought these motors would withstand that kind of horsepower hooked to a chisel plow or tillage tools working for 12 hours straight. I know a semi, your horsepower curve is to get you up to speed and then cruise.
They're more likely to survive in your application. And we do a hell of a lot of industrial engines. At any given time, there's always industrial engines going on. Right this minute, we're doing 3 Caterpillar industrial engines that are 700 horsepower for water pumps. We're doing a C9 marine engine. We are doing an asphalt plant big cam industrial engine. And we also have another industrial N14. I can't even remember what that thing operates. So you're actually wrong. We do industrial engines like crazy here. So, anytime that you're turning something up, you're reducing the longevity. I'm not going to bullshit you. You already know that, right? But the answer to your question is, yeah, you can make it happen, no problem, right? And it's probably more survivable than in a variable torque truck.
Okay. So my next question is, if these, like this one tractor we've got, it's factory like 375. We're wanting to push it to like 450, 475 to pull a tillage tool we've got. Do you think that's the same for horsepower? Like you said, the more power, the less likely are to withstand for a long period of time.
Is that a big?
What would your advice be there?
Is that a big cam 3?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got the CPL number here.
Well, I ain't gonna remember it. Come on, meow. But you're talking right around where you would end up if you had us send you a kit for a big cam 3. That's about where you'd end up for something, and it would be vastly different than what you have. You'd have to call the call center and kind of tell them what you have. It's a little bit of a process. We will send you a pump. We got to get your pump back, because we rebuild them for the next guy. It's a little bit of a process, but absolutely, we give you everything you need to make it happen.
Okay. So what would be the max horsepower you'd want to see one of these running at on a daily basis, working the guts out of them?
I honestly have to get your yell. It's kind of like anything I do, man. I don't just sit up here and shoot my mouth off, and I'm not like PDI where everything is 125 more horsepower because you just put our box on it. Everything is always concerned with what the engine's capable of doing. So we would take your CPL and we would turn it over to the guys that do our pumps and say, what can we do with this? What do we need? And they're going to give us our punch list, and we're going to put that all together for you as a package and give it to you. And they're going to provide us the pump, and we're going to build around the pump. Same thing we do with any build, like our 640 build. That started out with a blueprint, and then they gave us a list of what to use, and we've done it, rinse and repeat. Once we have a model, we rinse and repeat it over and over again. But for your particular application, there's not a known model, right? So we would tell you, here's what it's going to be when you're done. That's going to be 4 something, right? If you have a 400 big cam, we know it's 500 and 500 and something horsepower.
Okay. Do we need to worry about, like, because I know some of the older Cummins motors versus the newer, when I say newer, I'm talking 80s models still, but some of them come with hardened cranks and hardened rods and stuff. Do you think that's something we need to worry about?
No, because as far as I know, what you're saying is
Yeah.
not actually a thing.
Okay. Well, I guess that answers my questions then. I was just curious what your thoughts were on turning this thing to, like I said, from 375 to minimum 450 is what we got to have. So,
I mean, you just, there's always a trade-off, longevity for horsepower. But what are we talking? 25,000 hours instead you get 20,000 hours. Is it gonna throw a rod out the side? No, probably not. It, you know, the guys that do it have been doing more they're doing.
all right. Well, so I think that's all I needed to know.
All right, brother, man. Good luck.
Thank you. You too.
Bye. What happened to that guy way back in the beginning that just opened up the door talking shit and then disappeared? I was hoping that would turn into something fun, but it didn't. Russ, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Hey, how you doing? I don't know if you remember me from last week. The fuel mileage, you told me to call you with an update.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
I capped off the manifold intake and the air filter intake into the turbos, and I found 3 leaks. I got a question about that though. That's the update. I found 3 leaks. If I do that where I cap them off and pressure test it, you know how much pressure I'm supposed to be losing, or if that's even a good proper test?
Yeah, it is a good proper test. I can't remember off the top of my head. You should be able to do a little bit of research and figure it out pretty easy. But there's a certain amount of loss. There's a certain amount of loss that you're allowed to have, so to speak, right? So it's X amount of pounds over X amount of seconds or minutes or whatever it is, but it's not just going to sit there. You're not going to put 10 pounds to it and come back 2 hours later and there's 10 pounds in it, right? It's not how it works. You're going to apply the pressure, then you're going to do a countdown and see how much you're losing over X amount of time. And that's how you know if you have a problem or not.
Okay, well, right now, if I pressure it up, it drops straight to 0. Or like 5 pounds or something. Like it's not holding anything right now. That's why I was asking if it was a proper test.
Yeah. Yep.
But I haven't fixed the 3 leaks either.
Yeah, there you go. Fix the 3 leaks, obviously.
Yeah.
If you got any leaks.
But you don't know the amount of loss?
No, I don't. But you just, I mean, Chat GPT would probably tell you that, right? That kind of information is pretty readily available. That's not information where you need to go into Cat Sys or Cummins Insight or something like that. You can, it's kind of universal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The problem I'm having is everybody always says there's nothing wrong with the truck, and then I find something and then I fix it. And like I said, I've already replaced all the couplings, all the boots, the rubber, the metal, everything already, and I'm still leaking. So that's why I was asking, make sure that it was a proper test, because I didn't know for 100% if where I was capping off was proper or not.
Well, usually you hook into the intake boot on either side of the air-to-air, right, right where it would have went into the cylinder head, and on the other side, right where it comes out of the turbo, and that's where you do it.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I did. So
Yep.
I appreciate that. But like I said, I figured I'd call you, let you know the update so far. I got to get the 3 leaks fixed. And that's about it. I was just calling you to let you know update and then find out if where I did it was proper.
Yeah, one guy's saying he thinks it's 15 psi in 5 minutes, but you'll be able to figure that out. That's not like secret information. I just don't know it off the top of
All
my
right.
head.
I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Good luck.
Yeah. All right. See it.
One guy asked in the comment section, is it okay to jake hard going down a hill? Depends on what you mean by jaking hard. All three jake heads operating, going down a hill within a safe RPM, which on a cat's going to be 1600 and below, 1500 better. But, anything there and below on a Cummins, maybe a little higher, 1700 and below. Doesn't matter how hard you jake. There's no hardness of jake that you need to avoid. And there's no, despite all the rumors, jakes don't wear the engine out by using them constantly. Use those jakes up. That's what they're for. They don't hurt anything at all. Jamie Jones, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Hey, how's it going? I have got a 2000, or I'm getting ready to buy a 2008 389 with a C15 SDP. Dealer says it has been deleted and tuned to 550. What else would you do to ensure the longevity on that?
Well, it's kind of the same for any engine. Longevity really comes down to maintenance, right?
Right.
And maintenance really comes down to changing your oil.
Right. So as far as the SDP, like, with the whole turbo setup and all that stuff, is there anything that's outrageously different than like a normal MXX A-Cert or anything like that?
No, the only big difference is it had after treatment stuff. And if that stuff's been deleted and the rest of it's the same, there's really nothing going on an SDP that is going to dramatically shorten its life. They run a different injector and a few other, they have their own cam and a few other odds and ends, but fundamentally they operate exactly the same as their predecessors.
Okay, so if I say I wanted to rebuild and put one of your your 625 power tune or power build in it, I think is what you call it that. What would you recommend on that? Should I keep it A-Cert or single turbo?
Well, I mean, the SDP comes from the factory as a 605. You can put a 605 tune in it, and they really did really well. They got a lot of power at that, and they have really good turbos on them. They have billet wheel turbos in them from the factory, and they're ball bearing turbos on the SDP. It's actually badass turbos. They last you a lifetime. They'll last the life of the engine typically.
That's good.
It's really a downgrade in some regards to mess with it too much. Yeah, put the 605 tune on it. It's capable of that as is. And go trucking with it the way that it is. You'll probably be pretty happy.
Okay, so I really shouldn't have to change too much on it besides tune if I really wanted that power.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Good to know. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Good luck, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Man, we're just having a smooth night, aren't we, guys? Hang on. I saw a comment I want to look at. The boys at Large Car Diesel say hello. Hey, man. Yeah, I was going to send you a guy today. Got so busy. I was going to call you and make sure that you needed or that you had room. I forgot all about it. Can't remember what that guy wanted. Oh, he had a... Anyway, Large Car. Shop right down the road from us. Awesome guys. We kind of take advantage of them and send a lot of people their way. Not as many as we could, but they're kind of a smaller shop with small staff but good people. If you guys are ever looking for somebody to do it in frame for you, or even an out of frame, but if you're looking for somebody that does a good job and honest people, large car right here in San Antonio. They're actually in Pleasanton, I believe. Good shop, good people. All right, back to the callers. Got so many callers. Oh, we lost 3. Well, we don't have so many callers. That's what I get for dilly-dally. And here we go. You're on the air. No name. What can we do for you, brother?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
I got 2 questions, right? So, recently got a 34.6B, 7FB, and it has a in-frame that was done about 150,000 miles. I'm hearing a lot of oil gurus talking about oil, synthetic, conventional. The truck currently has conventional oil in it, and I was thinking about switching to synthetic. A lot of folks was like, no, don't do that. It's going to leak from the seals. I just wanted your take on that.
That's all nonsense. It doesn't make any difference.
Okay, I could make this.
Synthetic oil is so vastly better than conventional oil. There's nothing to debate or talk about, right? If that's the route you want to go, highly recommend. Anybody telling you that you have to keep running conventional if that's what you're running is just feeding you lines of shit. They're talking out of their ass. It absolutely is not a factor. Not a factor at all.
Okay. All right. Got that. Copy.
All right.
My next question.
Yep.
My final question. I got one more for you.
Yep. Go ahead.
So apparently this motor has a block off plate on the, I think it's the primer right next to the filter, the fuel filter. There used to be a hand primer there.
Yep.
I don't know why they took it off. But they put like a block off plate. Now, in the event that I do have to prime this engine, how do I go about doing that?
Good luck.
Let's say I have to prime the motor.
Yeah.
The hand primer.
I heard you. I said good luck.
Oh, okay.
So pretty much the only way you could get it done is to put compressed air to the fuel tanks. That's about the only way you can get it done.
Okay.
Why do people change those out? Is because there's lots of truck stop myths that if you take that little hand pump off and you put the little cap on there, you get more fuel to the rail, transfers to more horsepower. It's nonsense.
Oh, okay. All right.
That hand primer.
I'll probably just put back one.
Yeah, they're very inexpensive. Just put one back on it.
Okay. All right, man. Thanks for your help. Appreciate it.
Yep. Bye. I think I'm going to look back and say this is one of our best shows. It's just bam, bam, bam. Actually able to help quite a few people. Anyway, on with the callers. Josh, you're on the air, brother. Don't ruin our run here. What can we do for you?
Yeah, well, I got a couple easy questions. I just switched over from a Cat C15 to a Cummins ISX. I know everybody's gonna be like, you went to the Red Burrito. But I got a question, man. It's a 2250 2013 year ISX. What oil pressure range would you say it should be running at? I'm running 1500 right now, and it's running about 35, 36 psi on oil pressure. Is that something? Is that the normal needs? Or a lot of people saying close to 40. Some saying 35 is norm.
And what is it at an idle?
It was about 25.
I mean, you're on the lower end. Neither of those are neither of those are like in the danger zone of hurting the engine. They're a little on the lower side.
Mm-hmm.
If I had just rebuilt your engine and that's the best we could see out of it, I would let it go. I would let you take it home. Does that make sense?
Okay.
It's not where I'd want.
Okay.
It's not where It's not where I'd want to see it. I'd want to see it at 40. But you got to remember your Cummins engine is a high flow, low pressure system. In other words, there's not a lot of pressure, but there's a
Right.
shit ton of oil moving, right?
Right.
So it just kind of operates differently. I can't remember exactly where that threshold is. I know on cats it's 18. You get below 18, you're starting to do damage to the valve train. I think on Cummins it's quite a bit lower. I think it's down there around 14. Don't quote me though, but I know that you're certainly within the safe range right now. Well, I guess my only question would be
perfect. And
my question would be, if I was in your shoes, is why are we a little on the low side? You know, maybe pull an oil sample and just kind of confirm you're not having any kind of external problem. That's certainly what I would do.
Got it. Makes sense. Perfect. And then I had a second part of the question. I remember you saying you guys are selling like a $500 like a little thing that you put in the I don't know if it's the water pump or the thermostat to keep the oil temps cool on the Cummins.
So the oil temps, we all know, famously run incredibly hot on your Cummins engine.
Right.
We sell a little device. The guy that invented it's in the comment section right now. But what it does is you take out your factory thermostat, you slide this one in, and what this one does is it forces all of the oil to go through the oil cooler and dramatically reduces the temperature of the oil. It is comparable to buying the thousands of dollar unit from PDI, the dual oil cooler. It's comparable to that. It does work. It works really well. It's not a miracle product, but if you want to see that engine run more like a cat does, it's the ticket. It works great.
Right. Yeah, like currently I'm cruising right now in Indiana, flat ground. I'm running about 215 on oil temps. So that's why I'm like, I want to get it lower. Is that fairly easy to install as well?
Yeah, it's fairly easy. Some are a little bit more difficult than others. It's anywhere from an hour to 2 hour job. Most, it's pretty much anyone could do it. It does come with an instruction manual, tells you how to do it. It's really not a big deal.
Got it. Yeah, I'll definitely give you guys a call in the morning and we'll get that ordered.
All right, sounds good, brother.
Thank you.
Yep, bye. How many trucks am I running a C18? None. Because the C18 was never designed to be a variable torque engine. Edward, you're on the air, brother. What can I do for you?
Hey, I was how you doing, my friend? I came late into the program, and you were talking about I have a 2016 Cascadia, and you were saying something that when I turn it off, I mean, you can see the leakage, but when you start the truck, it stops, and I don't know where's the water coming where's it coming from?
What kind of engine?
You were talking about that when I came.
What kind of engine?
It's a DD15.
Yeah, I don't know on the DD15, but I'm sure it's some kind of similar problem. Just don't have experience with the DD15s. We've done a few of them here, but we don't have I have 16 plus years of working with cats and owning literally every cat engine ever made in the C15 model range, right? The 3406 had a lot of trucks.
Right.
I'm very well versed in them. So on your Caterpillar engine, over time, if you live in a cold area, when it gets cold out, they will leak on the oil cooler where the horn housings go in. They will leak. And then once you start it up and get it warm, won't leak at all in the summertime and only do it in the wintertime. The O-ring shrinks so much that they'll leak. The cure is to take it apart and put new O-rings in it and put it back together, and it'll stop doing it until they get old again. I'm sure you're having some sort of similar problem if it is temperature related on the DD15. I can't pinpoint where On a cat engine, I can pinpoint exactly where it's coming from without even seeing it, because that's where it happens. You're probably experiencing something similar. Somebody says rubbers behind the EGR cooler, they get hot, they swell, leak stops if it's on the passenger side. Is it on the passenger side? Or you don't even know?
It's in front of the truck. I mean, I think the picture is like I thought it was coming from a hose because I saw that there's like leakage, but I don't know where it's coming from. And it does me crazy because, I mean, it doesn't do it all the time. You know, you wake up and you see all these freaking antifreeze right there. And then you start the truck and it's gone.
Yeah, it's going to be something similar to what I'm talking about happens on the cats. It is a cold leak, what it would be referred to as. And a cold leak only happens with O-rings. Almost, I mean, all that I've ever seen happens with old O-rings. They shrink when they get cold. Once you get it warm, start it up, they swell, problem goes away. So you just got to pinpoint where it's coming from and put in new hardware.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, sir. Good luck.
Thank you.
You know, you guys in the comment section are having at each other tonight. It is humoring me. I think y'all should calm down a little bit, but it is humoring me a little bit. Is there a correlation between manifold pressure and blow-by? Of course there is. You will see a lot less manifold pressure if your blow-by is significant enough, because blow-by is just combustion gas going past the rings down into the crankcase. Well, the more combustion gas going into the crankcase is less of that combustion gas going out, doing its job, building PSI. Anyway, John Redmond, you're on the air, buddy. You got a PACCAR with MX-13. What can we do for you?
So my turbo came apart, and right behind the turbo, I guess it's the EGR valve, and it has taken and rubbed a flat spot in it, in the flapper. Is that going to cause problems?
As in, what do you mean?
It's been deleted, so the flappers, so the turbo literally, the shaft in the center broke, and it came apart in two pieces. And the back of the turbo took and rubbed a flat spot in the flapper on the EGR, which the EGR has been deleted, so the EGR is meant so it stays open. Will that cause a problem, though?
I don't know the answer to that specific question, whether rubbing the flapper, a flat spot in the flapper, is going to cause you a problem on a deleted PACCAR. What would concern me is if the wheel came apart, if we have addressed whether any of that metal went through the intake side, that's where guys end up with catastrophic failures, because metal will go through the air-to-air, come all the way through to the other side, and get caught between the valves, and then you have a drop valve. That's the biggest danger of losing a turbo. Now, I'm kind of scanning the comment sections to see, do you have block-off plates on that engine or no?
I do.
Okay, so if you have block-off plates, I'm going to guess it's a non-issue because it's a non-functioning item.
Yeah.
I would worry a hell of a lot more about, they're saying no problem. At least somebody in the comment section is trying to help you out. If you have block-off plates, it's irrelevant.
Right.
So I would worry a hell of a lot more about making sure that your air-to-air didn't have any metal go in it.
So we dumped the air out because it was full of oil, and we ended up replacing it. I did.
Yep.
But we didn't see no metal in it. Hopefully. But I also want to give a shout out to your son, Jack, Matthew. You got some good kids there. I was with ordering from you, and it wasn't on y'all. It was on UPS, and you really looked out. That's when you done a good job there.
Yeah, we've had struggles with just growing pains of. I mean, people have we sell parts we sell a day is unreal. So we definitely had growth, and boy, it's really hard not to have our name get destroyed over all the little nuances and issues. So, yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah, like I said, they really looked out for me. They really did. And that's what I was calling in about originally, just to give a shout out to them. It ought to be known that, yeah, y'all stand behind y'all shit. Y'all really do. They end up overnighting me another turbo because the other one keeps getting transferred from Colorado back to Kentucky, back to Colorado, back to Kentucky. So,
well, if it makes you feel any better, man,
send the other one back.
If it makes you feel any better, we have the same problems with ourselves. I had bearings supposed to be here on my birthday, the 20th. They just showed up today. What is it, the 26th or 27th? 26, 6 days late. And I paid big money to have them on my, on the 20th. I called and freaked out.
Oh, yeah, no, I understand.
The shipper ended up giving us a full refund, but it doesn't help the fact that, there was bearings in there for 27 engines, and some of those are slated to leave here towards the end of this last week. I have a lot of customers that are fucking pissed. Anyway.
Oh, no, I understand. I'm a cattle hauler, so I understand. I've been sitting there losing a lot of money every day because of it. But like I said, your kids were wonderful. I just wanted to give you a shout out to them.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good night, brother.
Thank you.
Yep.
You too. Bye.
So somebody in the comments section on TikTok has asked me about 50 times, what do I think about running an N14 red top? N14 red top, 5 1/4, great engine, longevities right there with the best engines in the market. They're $1.2 million, $1.3 million, $1.4 million engine if they're taken care of. They're problematic with their injectors, especially once you start to change them. If you're running the factory ones, they do pretty good. But once you start to change them, then they start to become more problematic. Other than that, they're fucking great. They got good power. They got good torque. They jake good. It's just a damn good engine. I would rather have a Cat. You got more liters. You got more torque. It's more powerful engine. But man, I owned 3 trucks with N14s. I had a Freightliner, I had a W900, and I had a flat top 379, all with N14s, and I drove every one of them. I loved them. I have no problem with them. Fucking great engine, man. They're fun to drive too. And they last forever, and they're very, very affordable to rebuild. Yeah, N14, great engine. Not a big fan of the 855, the big cam, because they're not a pleasure to drive, right? They just don't have they don't have the ass behind them. It's kind of like driving around a 12.7, trying to pretend like you're the king of the mountain. Like, get your 12 liters the fuck out of the way, right? Anyway, Tom, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you? Tom?
Hello?
Yes, sir. It's you.
It's Nom actually, and 2 questions for you. One is I have some tuning I want looked at, and then you mentioned a couple shows back, at least a couple shows back, that you have some of the guys up in Canada that can remote in and tell you whether it's a good tune or if it's a hot tune, or if it's any good or not. I was wondering if you would share who that is that's up there, because there's a million of them, especially in the West. Well, not a million, but there's quite a few. And if they're doing work for you, they must know what they're doing.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, you got to think about what you're asking me there, right? That's something
You're right.
that's something I would have to um, basically decline to do. And here's the thing: we don't get involved in tuning to the general public.
I know that. Right.
And we certainly don't get involved in any kind of delete tuning with the general public. Now, if a truck comes in here that we're going to work on, and you bring us like a ISX, and it has been deleted when it came here, we will rebuild it and leave it the way that it is. We have nothing to do with it. But if you come in here into my shop with an emission compliant truck, we're not going to make it. We don't delete them. We never have. We never will. We just, I mean, and we're so exposed. We can't afford to. And so we stay out of the tuning world completely. We just don't get involved. You know, we do our own stuff. And even in our own stuff, like I'm saying, we don't do delete tunes on our own stuff. Right. So, it's you know, I'm waiting for a reputable Canadian to just get a hold of me and be like, hey, here's a number you can give out to people. Let me help everybody, you know, but that hasn't happened. And until that happens, I have nowhere to point people other than to say, call a Canadian, you know, because the odds of you getting a good tune from a Canadian versus somebody in the States is just way higher, right? Because, you know, if you look at Canada and you split it in half, your western side of Canada, they don't have to follow any emissions laws. Now, the eastern half, they do. It's just like being here. So the western half, those guys can kind of get away with whatever they want. They can go to school for it. They can study it. They can get, you know, they can do whatever they want. So, I guess my advice would be find somebody in the western half of Canada. It's kind of just split it right down the middle. The western half, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just for the record, it's a 570, CM 570 that I was working on. But anyway, regardless, your guys in the office over there, Austin and Matt, you're great. I've been dealing with them. But here's one for you. What would cause excessive carbon buildup in an engine? Because it wiped mine out. I spun the number 5 main bearing, number 2 rod, and froze up the number 5 piston.
Well, I mean, if you want to know what the manufacturers of engines say, they blame it entirely on not being up to operating temperature.
And if it was up to operating temperature?
Your engine says that you're full of shit. And it wasn't. pretty much. It's kind of really the only thing that can do it, right? You're gonna always. So here's the thing: you have combustion, you're building carbon. End of story. Every engine is developing carbon at all times. The thing about it, though, is an engine that goes above 180 consistently and cycles all the way to the end point, which is 220, 218, somewhere in there, and it's hitting that cycle, and the engine fan's having to cool it back down. You're burning the carbon off. Once the combustion temperatures get hot enough due to your coolant system being up there in the 220 temperature range, it burns the carbon off. So if you're building carbon and building carbon and building carbon and building carbon, that is a sign that the engine is not cycling to that 220, 218 often enough, and it's not operating above 180 often enough. That is why, you know, I've made videos. My biggest video to this day, most views, most viral video I've ever had is kind of like Dave's video, where and I did it 2 years before he did. And I came out and told people not to warm up their trucks. I told them as soon as it has enough air, to drive it immediately under light load. And I'm not talking about the load on the back of the truck. I'm talking about how much boost you put to it by pushing the pedal, right? So light load would be you're driving it easy till it's up to operating temperature, because every minute that it is under operating temperature, it is building carbon.
Okay.
The diesel engine manufacturers are going to cite running under operating temperatures as one of the leading causes of premature engine failure, especially in industrial engines. Especially,
it wasn't. It was at operating temperature. It was 200 and oil temp was 210.
Brother, these things happen over time. It's not like it's not a
yeah.
It is a consistent overall theme of the engine running.
What I mean by carbon, I mean it was in the oil. It was, I mean, so much carbon that it might as well put Coke in there. The black.
Yeah, the only way that can happen is the only way that can happen is if the combustion gas is going past the rings.
Okay.
Broken rings, carbon.
All right. Well, I appreciate. Yeah, I didn't have any. Well, I don't know yet. I got to dissect the motor still. So.
Yep, something.
Okay.
One of them.
I appreciate it.
One of them liners is wiped out. All right, brother.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye. And it probably goes back, honestly, to the deleting it, the tuning issue, the timing. This engine's probably broken rings from having way too much combustion temperature and pressure. Now he's pushing carbon down into the oil. Probably. How do you join our call? The number to call in is 573-422-4225. We're just coming into the second hour. We have 5 callers on. So if you call in now, you'll make it on the show, but you'll have to sit there for a minute. C18s don't have carbon problems. Actually, C18s are very prone to carbon problems. They're one of the worst ones for it because they're almost always in an industrial application. They're a big engine. They take a lot to stay warm. And they're usually on stuff like gensets, big pumps that don't run under load constantly. And C18s are actually one of the most prone to carbon problems. I know you're just kidding. No dip tonight? Yeah, I got these pouches. They ran out of freaking long cut. I actually ordered some. Both stores I get it from are out. I don't know. The pouches just annoy the shit out of me. But anyway, I'm not really a vapor. I just had this one. When this one's gone, I won't be getting another one. Jake, calling about 14-liter Detroit. Let's go. What do you got, brother?
Yeah, I'm looking to buy my first truck, and does the 14-liter have the same kind of reliability that the 12.7 does?
There was when the 14-liter was a little newer, that was the big thing, is the 14 liters were junky and this and that. But I think time has shown that they're just as good as the 12.7. Some people argue that, right? But there's a lot of 14 liters out there that get the mileage that the 12.7s do. Is it 100% as consistent? Maybe not. Your 12.7s by and large just get 1,000,000. 3,000,006. Are the 14 liters doing that? Yes, but maybe not as consistently, but consistently enough that I think the answer is, yeah, there's no problem with a 14 liter where you're like, oh, this thing isn't going to last, right? It's still going to be a 1,000,000-mile engine, no problem.
Okay, so I mean, like that 12.7 doing to 500 horses for a 12.7 is, I mean, go with that instead of the 14 liter that made around the same. Or
you got to understand, man, that your 14 liter is 14 liters and your 12.7 is 12.7.
Right.
So even if they're both 500 horsepower, that 14 liter is going to walk all over that 12.7.
Okay, I mean, yeah, I'm going to be pulling, 100,000, 115 with it. So,
Yeah, you're going to be way
pace of
happier.
power. Okay, that was my question. Ones with C15s. I mean, is there any models I should stay away from, or?
Not that I know of, man. Not off the top of my head. You have one out there that has a really hard to get cylinder head, but it doesn't make the engine any less desirable. Yeah, don't buy a truck.
So the A-certs are still okay. No, I was just curious. I mean, some guys say stay away from the A-certs, but
well,
I was curious your thoughts on that.
A 14 liter is not an A-cert. I mean, I thought you were talking about 14 liter Detroits.
I was. I'm looking at everything. Oh. I'm asking about cats now.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with A-certs. People are stupid.
Okay.
All right, brother. Good luck. That 14 liter will do you good. A-certs have had a negative connotation since the day they came out. I remember my first truck was a MXS A-cert, and my brother, oh, you gotta single turbo that thing, or it'll be a piece of shit. And it's still to this day the truck stop talk. 23 years later of them proving they don't need to be single turboed to absolutely kick ass, and it's still the truck stop talk. Well, you gotta delete it. You gotta single that one. Yep. If you don't single it, you got a turd. Based on truck stop talk. I swear to God, truck stops do more disservice to this industry than anything else. MXS was strong, but turning them back was the powerhouse. There's no truth to that either. There's no truth to that. There's no truth to that. It's all, your single turboed cat. It, has a different compression ratio. And, your A-cert will build 60 pounds of boost. 60 pounds of boost. You ain't doing that with a single turbo. Anyway, fan running all the time on a Cat C15. What can we do for you, brother?
How you doing, sir? Thanks for taking my call. I got a couple quick questions for you, and I think I got it figured out, but I just want to hear your opinion. Got a MBN C15 engine fan, runs all the time. But the funny thing is, once I get that engine to 190, 200 degrees, the coolant, then it'll start cycling how it should, either with the AC on or off, or when it gets to 217, it turns on. So I'm just thinking of that fan hub, but is there a reason why you can tell me why it's doing that it will not cycle until the coolant gets warm enough, 190, 200 degrees around there?
So what you're saying doesn't make any sense. You're saying the engine fan's on all the time, and then it cycles once it gets up to where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, once Yeah, I mean, listen, I start the truck in the morning and it's on.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not able to get my coolant 190, 200 degrees, the fan will be on. And then once I get to 200 degrees and I hit a hill or something where the coolant gets up there, then the engine will shut off. And then the rest of the day, the fan will just work how it should. But if I'm not able to get that truck warm enough, the fan will stay on all day long.
Yeah, so it could be your sending unit. It could be the electric over air solenoid on the fire.
Already replaced that.
Okay. So
already replaced that. The high pressure and the AC got replaced.
Somebody's saying the fan solenoid is wrong, but you can really only have one of two type. You can have an always on or always off. And if you had the wrong one,
but it wasn't doing that. It was doing.
Sorry, go ahead.
It was fine. It was for a whole year. It was fine for a whole year, fine. And all of a sudden, it started doing that. So what I'm thinking is that my fan hub is leaking air. But why can I hear it? Because on my hot furnace has a leak there, and it does not build in enough pressure to push that fan hub out.
It could be.
Okay. Now, just to get a little bit more sure, have you ever seen? You know that airline that runs from the solenoid to the bottom of the hub fan? Have you ever seen that airline gets plugged or just gets so old that it starts leaking air, that it does not hold the pressure?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Because it's a 20-year-old truck, and I don't think that airline has ever been replaced.
Yeah, but the airline's less likely to be the problem than the hub itself. But it still doesn't.
Okay.
It still doesn't
Okay.
explain your. It doesn't explain your specific problem.
Okay, could it be that once the hub gets warm enough, it seals and it keeps that air in there?
No, not really. It's not really how it works.
Not really.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, my other question is the NBN. It got overhauled a couple of years ago into a 6NC. Truck runs like a champ for the last 2 years, plenty of power. Don't ask me why, but if you hook up to the ECM and says 216, 600 horsepower, even though it's an NBN and I came out of C15, I don't know why it's had a 6 horsepower or why does a...
Because somebody put a C16 tune on it. That's why it says that.
Okay, well, runs like a champ. I love it. Perfect.
I'm sure it does, but it will not run for very long.
Okay, I heard you said this before.
I mean, of course you can, and that C16 tune would push a stage 2 turbo, no problem. But you're still going to crack out the head and have all kinds of issues.
Even though the truck's been good for 2.5 years, like it's like perfect. I don't see anything.
That kind of makes you an exception. Most people don't make it that long.
Okay. Okay, and yeah, I've heard you say this before, and I get you, but man, grace of God, I mean, truck's been keeping up. I'm knock on wood right now, man. Holy charge! Now that I say this, but the turbo on this programming.
Yeah, it would run it just fine. I mean,
No.
that's really where that stage 2 turbo is going to come into its own, is with that kind of intense fueling. It would work fucking phenomenal. I'm not recommending it because,
and would you still stick?
Because I don't recommend.
Would you still stick to a 78?
Huh?
Would you still recommend the 78 132 or the 80 132 A14? I think the 78
a stage 2 is a 40. Is a 78 millimeter 145 AR. Your stage 1's a 132.
Oh, shoot. Oh, okay. I see.
I mean, you can.
All right. Well, that was it. I was just.
So, all right, brother. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yep. Bye. All right, guys. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more callers. Probably shouldn't take any more. Number 44. You're my last caller. I don't want to get to the end here, and anyway, so we got about 30 plus minutes left. Let's keep hammering them down. Let me scan the comment section. How much does a 14-liter 60 series engine cost from you guys? We have so many options, man. You can get a short block, long block plus, longevity build, performance build, and our lead build. So we just have to really know what it is that you're after to be able to answer that question. How many miles after rebuild should oil consumption stop? When you first do rebuild an engine, they do consume a little bit of oil. They can even consume quite a bit of oil, a gallon or two, but if you're still consuming oil and you're into your second oil change, 20,000, might have an issue. Might have an issue for sure. All right. Sergey, I think you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Hey, man. So I just changed the wheel seal on my steer axle. I'm not really sure if this. I mean, my truck is a Freightliner Columbia, but I have like a Hendrickson front air axle on there.
Yep.
And I couldn't find any online specs how to do the hub. The hub nut. I checked on the Chat GPT. They told me to torque it down to like 200 foot-pounds, back it off, and then down to 100 foot-pounds. I had like this little cone in there, like in between the bearings.
Yeah, so the cone prevents you from over-tightening it.
Okay, yeah.
So the cones are the cones.
Would that be the right? Like
the cones are the easiest to do.
Okay, because I've never done those. I've done the other ones in the rear where you tighten down real tight and everything, and back it off and stuff like that. I've done those, but I've never done the cones, and it's my first time doing on this.
So most of the time, the cones come with a clip that tells you what to torque it to. The clip around the nut. Didn't have that.
It had a little clip. Well, hold on. Are you talking about the little orange clip?
Yep.
I don't have that one. I have like the ones with the wing nuts. The wings on the 2 wings on the nut.
The nut should have the torque spec on it somewhere, and sometimes they're on that clip. But if you have the cone, I mean, it's just been so long. I mean, I've done so many freaking wheel seals, man, it'd blow your mind. But it's also been a few years since I've done one. I certainly don't know off the top of my head, but
something like that, like 200, back it off, and then 100 should be okay.
I'm not going to answer that because I don't know, right? But I mean, a lot of people are saying a lot of people are saying 250, 250. I'm not going to advise that either. The nut should say the torque spec, but here's what you can do. You can call. I mean, what kind of engine is this? Or I mean, what kind of truck?
Freightliner Columbia.
Yeah, you can call Freightliner. Tell them your last 7 of your VIN, year, make, model. Tell them what you're doing. Tell them what you got. They'll tell you.
I called them, and they told me we don't have the torque specs. Call parts, and I talked to parts. They said we don't have torque specs. But I guess it was. They said depending on the size of the nut, and so I went with that. And I don't have any wobble. I put in the oil. I drove like maybe 50 miles already. Kept filling it up. It's staying full now. Yeah, it was a little bit warmer, like to the touch, but it was not like hot. So I think it might be fine. It's driving straight too.
Yeah, it's probably fine then.
Okay. And I had another question on this same truck. Like, I replaced my starter last year, and I replaced the starter solenoid. So, like, every time I would turn on the key, I I hold it, and then it doesn't start, and I have to turn it back off within a couple seconds, and then it starts cranking, like, really, and starts up. Where should I be looking at?
Fucking wiring problems, man. I should make a disclaimer. Don't ask me any wiring problems. Wiring problems are the worst. It could be in the key switch. It could be a grounding problem. Could be the ECM's not telling it to start. There's just so many things it could be, right? I have no clue. I don't have a clue. Could be the cab controller. Exactly. Could be Freightliners have a the Freightliners have a solenoid on the firewall. That's true. Freightliners do have a solenoid on the firewall, and they do go bad.
Yeah, I just replaced that one too. My batteries are a little bit weak, but I don't know. It was giving me that like doesn't start, and I have to crank it off, turn the key off, and crank it back up, and hold it for like 1, 2, 3 seconds sometimes, depending on temperature, and then it'll start cranking.
Yeah, it could be your clutch engagement switch. If there's too much, you have to work backwards and figure it out, brother. There's just too much. It can be.
All right.
I would start with. I would start. Yeah, I'll tell you where. I tell you where I'd start, because it will happen on any truck where the batteries are not good. I would start with good batteries before I started throwing money at anything else. You can always use some good batteries, right?
Yeah, they're 2 years old. I mean, they're probably right there at the time they need to be replaced, anyways.
Yep. Start with good batteries. It's probably the entire problem.
All right.
That's going to give you an opportunity to clean. That's going to give you an opportunity to clean all the terminals and look to make sure that everything's good to go. All right. Good luck, brother.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yep. Junior, what can we do for you, brother?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, sir. It's you. Let's go.
Hey, I got yes, I got a question. I got a C15 Acer, and whenever I pick up my RPMs to 1,000, it sits there and shakes. Do you have any recommendations? What could be the problem?
Runs completely fine other than that.
Well, here's the deal. It was shaking, so we overhauled the whole engine. I mean, we even replaced the head, the spacer plate. They shake the block, and this truck is still shaking at 1,000 RPMs, idling.
Well, did you guys do a new dampener?
Yeah. After we did the whole rebuild and did everything on it, then that was our next step. We did a dampener. It's brand new, and it still sits there and shakes at 1,000 RPMs, idling. I was just thinking, see if you got some ideas what's wrong with it.
Yeah. Like one guy just said, motor mounts. Need to check the motor mounts, make sure they're all good. Bad motor mount. I mean, 1,000 RPMs is where it's really loping, right? And they tend to vibrate the most right around 1,000. But most of the time, hang on. Most of the time, when engines come into this shop and they shake really bad, idled up, most of the time, it's a timing issue. They're slightly out of time, especially on a cat. We cure vibration, shaking in cats at this shop all the time. Now, it would surprise me to find out you had a shake, you guys rebuilt it, and it still shakes, right? But I don't know.
Correct.
I don't know anything about who rebuilt it and what kind of tools they have to recalibrate the timing for the cam, right? You have shops out there that don't know how to do
Okay.
that, and they'll mark all the gears and they'll go put them right back where they were, right? But you're saying that you guys pulled it
Okay.
out and did a complete out of frame and shaved the block and everything is what you're saying?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So the idea that you have that's the issue is so incredibly unlikely. So, but most of the time,
Oh.
I would say 95% of the time that guys come in here and have an engine that's shaking, we fix it because it's out of time. There's all kinds of
Okay.
other things, obviously problems with the valve train, like guys are pointing out, and stuff like that. But I mean, you can also have the timing is not correct between the crank sensor and the ECM. It might need a calibration done there. That's unlikely, but it could be.
Okay. Okay. I was thinking it doesn't have to do nothing with the transmission. Let's say the clutch is out of balance. It won't cause it to do that, or maybe a worn out
Of course, it could.
bearing in the transmission.
Well, probably not in the transmission. It'd be highly unlikely a bearing in the transmission that you're not noticing when you're driving around is going to make your engine shake. An out of balance clutch, yeah, of course, that could happen. But that and you have the problem post rebuild. Would you guys use the same clutch?
Yes, the clutch is still the same clutch.
So maybe, yeah. Yeah, I asked him
Okay.
the dampener right out the gate. So I don't know, brother. I don't know. But most of the time, it's a timing issue. Most of the time. So
in case we can't find it,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay, it's only doing it at an idle at 1,000 RPMs. It's not doing it everything else. All the rest of the time you're driving it, this that you're not having any problems. It kind of makes it very
correct.
very unlikely this is clutch, any of those things. It screams timing issue. Really easy, man. Put it on number 1, top dead center. Take the peanut cover off, of course. Look down your little sight there. And if it's not perfect, that's the problem.
Okay. All right. In case we can't find that, we'll give you a call and I'll take it to you.
All right, brother. Sounds good. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Gear slap will shake an engine. Ask me how I know. I have to agree with you there, Glenn. Most of the time when the engines are just sitting there shaking, and the tires are, it's almost always a timing issue. John, worrying about the commenters being assholes. Welcome to Hack Nation Live. That's the comment section. Chad, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
I got a question about getting rid of the VTT turbo on X15 and changing out the cam. What are the pros and cons? Is it worthwhile or is it really not?
Well, course, I'm not going to come on this show and recommend anybody do anything that's not emission compliant. But as for the pros and cons, we could talk about that. Here's the thing, man. A VGT turbo is the most badass turbo concept in practice ever designed, at least currently. It will vastly outperform your S400 that you're going to throw on there to replace it, both in jaking power and optimal boost across the entire torque band. You're not going to do better than what's on there. You can have somebody, you can go throw your S400 on there and have somebody open up your fuel numbers, and it will seem like it runs way better, but it costs the longevity of the engine. But apples to apples, right? If we're comparing apples to apples, you don't mess with your fuel timing and all that. Everything stays the same. That VGT turbo is going to walk the fucking dog on anything else you're going to put on it.
Okay.
So that
was all I had for you.
Well, here's the cons. The cons are, if you lose a VGT turbo, they cost a lot of money to replace.
Yes.
That's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, that simplifies that.
All right, bro.
Alrighty. Well, I do got you building an engine for me, so I will probably get a hold of you tomorrow if possible.
Oh.
And discuss a few other minor details.
Sure. Yeah, man. Call me and we can talk about whatever you want to
Alrighty.
talk about.
Alrighty. Sounds good.
All right.
Thank
brother.
you.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
When a VGT turbo is bad, it is a fucking bitch. There's no doubt about that. And I understand why so many guys go to the different turbo. But what I said is true. That VGT turbos are fucking wicked. Man, they just do their job. They do their job until they don't. They are really annoying when they don't. So I see both sides. I really do. Which one would I prefer if I owned a truck? Man, I'd probably stay VGT. I probably would, because of that jaking power and that optimization of your boost across the entire band. It just, you can't beat it. My opinion. All right, Junior. Did we already have a Junior call? You're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Hey, I got a 12.7 Detroit, and it's got low oil pressure. And I was just wondering if, like, do I have to rebuild the whole motor, or can I get away with, like, just doing bearings and an oil pump?
Define low oil pressure.
25
20.
when it's running down the road, and then like 15 minutes idling.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. An optimal oil pressure for Detroit is right around 50 running down the road. Yeah, they can be a little lower than that. Here's the thing. That's a hard question to answer, because a guy, you could certainly go into it planning to do that. And, once you start dropping rods and mains, you're really going to get a picture of what you have going on. And you'll be able to see up in there, see, okay, do I have any smoked liners? Well, if you don't, great. So here's my opinion, okay? People ask me all the time, should I do rods and mains? Rods and mains are a great idea to do as a midway preventative maintenance. They're not really a thing you do to cure a problem. Does that make sense? So, yeah. If you have a 12.7 or any engine for that matter, and you got 800,000 miles on it, everything's operating normal and everything looks fine, that's the time to do some rods and mains. That way we know when we get to that 1.2 and 1.3 and we go to rebuild it, we're not going to have to deal with needing a new crank, right? But an engine that's already failing, I don't think it's the best. It's not a good plan, man. It's not a good plan. It's better than doing nothing. Probably better than doing nothing. But like Glenn Long says, what about what about your cam bushings? All right, what about your cam bushings? What about all the bushings in the gears? You know, throwing rods and mains in aren't addressing those problems.
Okay, what else would cause low oil pressure?
Wore the fuck out. Bearings, you know.
Okay.
Oil sample would help you out quite a bit, but you're kind of already past that point, right? I'm not telling you not to roll rods and mains in it. But that wasn't really your question. Your question is, should I just roll rods and mains in it? And the answer is probably not. Probably not. Now, if your financial position only allows you to do that, and only allows you to do that in an oil pump, of course, do that.
Okay. Cool. Already, I guess I'll just do that. I also got an M11, and when it gets hot, it'll shut off. So, I was researching it, and they were saying like cam sensor. Is that
how hot?
I'm just like 150, 180 between that, and then it'll run for a good amount of the day, and then once it gets hot, then it'll just shut off, and then you'll let it sit for a little bit, and then it'll start back up. It'll run for a little bit, go press the gas, and it'll shut off again. But I'll leave it overnight, start it back the next day, and then it does the same thing over again. Run for a good bit of the day, so it'll just shut off.
Is it hard to start? Is it hard to start?
Don't start like a normal Cummins. It'll crank.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, when it shuts off on you, is it hard to start back up when it shuts off on you?
Oh, yeah, it'll crank for a little bit longer than it should, and then it'll start back up.
Okay, so a couple things that could be going on. The fuel cools the ECM. So the ECM could be going out once the fuel gets so hot. The ECM's malfunctioning. That's number one. The other thing that could be going on is you have a check valve in that ECM as well. That's where the check valve is. And when that fuel gets hot and thinning out, that check valve might be wore the fuck out. And it's allowing it to lose rail pressure. So it dies. Then it's having a hard time starting again. I would start by changing the check valve in the ECM. If that doesn't do anything, it's probably the ECM itself. The injector drivers are going out, like some of these guys are saying here.
Gotcha. No problem. And I just got one more truck. It's just a T660 Kenworth and C13 Acer. And when you hit a bump, the engine fan will turn on. But if you just have it sitting there idling, the engine fan won't turn on. So if you go on the road, you hit a pothole or something like that, the engine fan comes on.
Electrical problems, man. Electrical problems. Could be AC, overpressure, switch. Could be solenoid. Could be your, electric over air solenoid. High pressure switch on the AC.
Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. I guess I'll start looking for that. Just I don't know if that guy's still listening. The guy with the Columbia. I got 2 of them, and I got the same problem with the ignition switch. It just say it won't start it. So what I did is I just put a push button. So you turn the ignition on with the key, and then you just push it. You just push the button to start it, and then I never had a problem after that.
Yep.
With starting, it's a shitty. It's a shitty ignition switch, and then the wiring rots out underneath the dash because the windshield leaks. But you don't. It doesn't leak in the cab, so you don't see it.
Yep. I have to agree with that. My brother-in-law put push buttons on almost every Freightliner I had. Same reason. So
yeah, so I have 2 Columbias. I did it to one of them, and it starts just like an old FLD now, or
yeah. Let me make
the old
disc.
school. So it never had a problem after that.
Right on. All right, man. Well, thank you for that.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Yep. Bye.
I like the new boxes.
Oh, he was gonna say he likes my new boxes. I cut him off. Well, thank you, buddy. They are really cool. He's talking about our in-frame boxes, out-of-frame boxes. All right, we got one more caller. Then we'll oh, we lost a caller. Man, you didn't hang on, buddy. You were number 44. You didn't hang on. Joey, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Hey, how's it going, man? I have kind of a hypothetical question that I was curious about your opinion on. So I like the nickel and dime a lot and pinch pennies. You know, I'm always trying to figure out if a hotel's going to cost less than my fuel to idle. And I was kind of wondering, in the wintertime when it's colder, I was starting to wonder if I'm doing more damage over the long run of the engine from those cold starts versus just idling. Because usually my theory is if I stay in the hotel, I'm saving engine hours. Maybe I'm splitting hairs with this question.
No, not really. You're probably doing a lot less damage not sitting in it and idling it at night, to be honest with you. That depends greatly on.
Okay.
So you kind of threw all of it out the window if this is your modo operandi. Okay. So let's say you get up in the morning, you go out and you start the truck, and then you go back in the hotel and have your continental breakfast and do this and that thing's out there chugging away. And then you go jump in it and take off and it's all warmed up. You just kind of undid everything that you were trying to do. Right now, if you're going in, you know, you're going out, getting in it, starting it up, airing it up, driving it right away, then yes, you're probably doing yourself a service rather than a disservice.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that goes back on what you always talk about with jumping in and go versus letting it warm up.
Yeah, I mean, I know people hate hearing me say that, but it's just the truth. It's just the truth.
Right. No, I definitely see your point on that whole point.
Yeah, but if it's not if it's not under load, you know, it's hard to keep them at operating temperature, not under load. You know, you've been bumping them up 13, 14, 15, 1600. I can't tell you how many nights I sat in the sleeper in my truck with that truck banging away at 1600 all night long. And it's still struggling to stay warm, you know. And
I'm guessing that would have been when you were up in Alaska.
Oh yeah, and I was always smart, man. I was always smart about it. And guys, you know, guys from up there are even your drivers and stuff. They all understand, you know, and they'll park wherever they can. They be out of the wind and belly tarps and winter fronts and all that kind of crap, and idling them up, you know. And they're It's just hard to keep an engine warm that's not under load. It's not building heat. This is what it is.
Right.
So.
Okay.
I mean, that
was really my own.
Here's the real answer to your question. APU solves both problems.
Yeah, yeah,
You know.
yeah. I would agree with that.
So.
Yeah, currently I'm in my first truck, and I've still working on getting the finances for the APU. I don't like to borrow money for anything, even though maybe I would be ahead to finance one.
Yeah, of course you would. Do the math. I mean,
Or the
just look around and find a used one, you know, for sure.
right.
I mean, if you're one of those guys that really cares, you know, enough to get hotels over and over, for sure, of course. So.
Okay. But yeah, that was my only question. Fortunately, I don't have any issues going on that I have to ask about.
Well, that's good, man. It's been a great night for answering questions. There's just been a few electrical questions, so that kind of threw me for a loop. But anyway, man, I appreciate you. Thanks for calling.
Yep, have a good one.
You too. Bye. All right, and we ended it out on time. Buy a day cab and go home every night. Yep. You know, even if you're going to go home every night, I can't stand a fucking day cab. You want to be, I mean, you can't move the seat, you know, unless you, I've never had a day cab or ridden in a day cab where you can put the seat back at all. And I'm kind of tall. I'm 6'1". Man, I can't stand a day cab. Really can't. Even if I was going to go home every night, I'd still rather be in a full-size truck. Mexico is looking for truckers. No need to worry about keeping the truck warm. Actually, Raging Cajun, that is not true. You want to know what's ironic about that is, and I can verify this, the states with the highest rates of wet stack damaged engines are these southern states, Texas leading the charge. I can testify to that. I have been in Texas for 2 years, and obviously I'm seeing more Texas trucks than I ever have before. And it is much more likely to see a wet stacked damaged engine coming from a southern state than it is a damaged engine from that same thing coming from a northern state. And that, in my belief, is because your guys that are from northern states are conscious of it. They are always thinking about it. And your guys in your southern states, it's 105 degrees out. There's no way this truck isn't warm. Well, your truck doesn't give a shit if it's 110 degrees ambient temperature. It cares about operating temperature, which is 180 degrees. And so, and the guys in your southern states are running their ACs all the fucking time. So that fan's running all the time. And they're not getting up to operating temperature ever. And the guys in the northern states have these winter fronts and and the fans not coming on nearly as much, and they're struggling to keep them warm. I see wet stack damaged engines from the southern states 10-1 of what I see coming from northern states. So it's actually the exact, and I know you're just teasing. But it was a good segue where, guys in the southern states really need to be aware that they're the ones really damaging their engines because it's hot outside. They don't think about it. I was just reading this bulletin from CAT where they were talking about Texas in particular suffering from the most amount of industrial engines getting ruined from running under operating temperature. And they're mainly picking on generators that don't go under load often enough. And it's something that southern guys need to be aware of is they're much more prone to damaging their engines from wet stacking than northern guys are, because northern guys were born and raised their entire lives, in this harsh environment where they have to constantly be aware of the dangers of their engine operating at these cold temperatures. And guys in the South just don't ever have to think about it. So we see carbon damaged engines. It's so much more likely to see a Texas truck or comparable, temperature wise state with carbon damage than it is to see a truck come from the north with that same damage. Something to think about. How much worse does the humidity down there make it? I don't think humidity plays a factor at all in any of that, to be honest. I don't know how it could. Obviously, humidity is going to play a factor in general um, and stuff like that. But then again, the northern guys get a hell of it on that because they salt the shit out of roads. You want to talk about, I mean, there's certain states you don't want to buy anything from because they salt the roads so damn bad, you know, like Minnesota. Never want to, I mean, if you had a truck from Minnesota, I probably would turn you down on doing any kind of, you know, bushings and torsion and work like that because everything's freaking rusted out and you can't get nothing apart, you know? So I don't think humidity plays a big factor in any kind of damage to the truck. So anyway. So what about going up a hill and your engine temp is high, but how can you keep your EGT low? EGT, lowering your EGTs is like riding a 10-speed. Everybody knows that. You want to downshift, go right back up to the same RPM. The engine's doing the same thing it was before, but not having to work nearly as hard to maintain it. You're going to drop some speed, of course, because you dropped the gear ratio, but the engine's not having to work as hard to do the exact same job. The EGTs are going to come down, drop a gear. It's that simple. If you're burning your truck up because you insist on staying in the same gear, really a you problem, brother. Anyhow, road treatment like Brian is the worst. I agree with you, Raging Canadian. I agree with you 100%. In Alaska, they don't do that. They throw sand. They don't throw salt. They throw sand. In town, they might have some salt sand mixture, but it's mostly sand. So much more effective. Sand on ice, so much more effective than salt. So much more effective. Any fellow MHC mechanics in here? I don't know, brother. Can you use 540 full synthetic in place of 1540 in summer and 14 red top? I think the answer to that is yes. What's your thoughts on the Bully Dog BGT turbo for the X15 horsepower? Claims you have better mile per gallon and up power. Bully Dog makes good turbos. I use them all the time. We sell something very comparable to Bully Dog's turbo for that same application. But Bully Dog makes a good turbo. Chains are way better than salt or sand. Facts. Nothing beats a chained up truck, especially if you got some good trigs. Got them frickin' meats on there. Pair of 7s, pair of 8s. Man, if I got a set of 8 trigs on a truck, I don't give a fuck what the hell Mother Nature's throwing at us. Get out of the way. Especially, throw a drag chain on, chain on the trailer. Throw a steer chain on. Come on with it. I don't care what Mother Nature's throwing at us. If I got trigs on this bitch, get out of the way. We're going trucking. I don't care what is going on. I don't care if the ground is 30 below and it is raining because it warmed up. We have a come through and it's turning to ice fast as it's hitting the ground. Give me some trigs and get out of the way. For sure. If anybody knows what I'm referring to, we can be homies. All right, guys, that brings the show to an end. Love you guys a long time. Great show. I actually enjoyed it. I enjoy all you guys. Thank you. Again, I'm seeing all the same faces, which I personally appreciate. I appreciate seeing the same guys. Anyhow, so love you long time. You ran with me on the haul road. Todd Christopher. I'm not going to say you didn't, but nobody wants to hang iron anymore. You know, when I was in North Dakota, I had to teach every single driver how to hang iron. I didn't, and every guy I hired, I had to teach him how to throw iron. And I would make them learn. I mean, I can chain up a fucking truck so fast. I don't know why it's such a big deal to chain up a truck. It's so easy to do. I always lay him out on the ground, grab the far rail, grab the middle rail, walk up to the tire, throw him over the top, roll over him, click them together, bungee them. You know, and not the stupid bungee you can buy that has all the, those things are fucking shit. Get 18, 20-inch bungees and bungee that thing proper. Don't go over 30 miles an hour with them. You can run them, but I've ran chains. This is true story. I have ran chains for 400 fucking miles. I've done it twice, both times. Situation like I'm describing. Cold as shit. Chinook comes through, raining on top of ice. I ran iron for 400 miles 2 times in my life and didn't lose a chain. Put the same chains back on the rack. Where everybody messes up as they start running 60 miles an hour with their fucking chains on. You just run studded tires, then you're not running anywhere where it matters. Studded tires on a big rig are a joke. Sipe tires, that's where it's at. Sipe tire will walk all over a studded tire any day of the week, especially in a big rig with all that weight pushing down. You got all those flaps, they just flatten out. You can stick to anything with good sipe tires. You ran from Bowman to Botanu on iron, didn't lose a thing. Yeah, but I mean, it's really easy not to lose iron. Have some self-control. Don't go over 30 miles an hour. Pretty much. And boy, when you lose some iron and you're going 60 miles an hour, you better be driving the boss's truck and not be an owner-operator. He's going to tear shit up. Anyway, guys. All right. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good night. Again, good time. Good time. I had a good time tonight. Thank you guys for making it a good time. I will see you guys soon. Somebody asked me if I'm going to Matt's. 100% I'm going to Matt's. I have a booth. I need to know the number so I can tell people this is the booth I'm going to be at, because I see that's what you do. Let's say, yeah, tight is right on chains for sure. Yes, I'm going to be at Matt's. I'm going to be bringing all kinds of products there. I'm bringing an entire engine. We are going to build a 2 whiskey Sam that I am doing an elite build on. We're going to have titanium disulfide bearings. We're going to have all the isotropic super finishing done on it, all the coatings. I'm planning on bringing the cream of the crop down in an entire engine, just to show off our products and what we can do. And I'm bringing in-frame kits and out-of-frame kits and our turbo line and quite a few products that we haven't even talked about yet. All of them are being crash coursed so they can make it to the show. This coming Wednesday, our oil line and our bypass line gets shipped. We should have it by the end of next week. Pretty excited about that. Will it be on a startup stand? I don't know, man. I don't know if they'll let you do that there. I've never been to Matt's. I don't know if, I mean, my booth, I have the biggest booth you can get pretty much. That's still a conventional booth, 20 by 20. But I know it's like a adjacent booth. So there's like somebody next to me on both sides. I think I'm on a corner. I don't know if I can fire up an engine there. I don't know if I could fire up an engine there. But that's a good question. That's something I should probably look at. That would be pretty cool to fire it up while we're there. I certainly could. My brother-in-law is certainly gifted enough. Ask Charlie to bring his startup kit. I don't need to ask Charlie for that. We could build that really easy. But I know Charlie's going there. Charlie's going to be at ATL's booth. I have no clue why, but he's going to be at ATL's booth, and he's bringing in an entire engine. I saw that. He's going to build a 5E K-Cert, I believe is what he said. It's kind of his thing. We're going to do a 2 Whiskey Sam. I was going to do a 6NZ, but I decided last minute to do a 2WS, and I'm doing it on an actual 2WS block, 2WS ECM. I wanted a pre-emission engine. I wanted it to be no question, a 6NZ. It's always, well, was this a 99 or before or whatever? I didn't want to deal with all that. I wanted a true pre-E-log engine that I wanted to take. And of course, your 2WS and your 6NZ are basically identical anyway. So I'm doing a true 2 Whiskey Sam. Oh, Charlie's bringing a 2WS as well. Ha. Maybe I should do the 6NZ then. I don't want to do the exact. Well, yeah, I mean, who cares? Who cares? I really wanted to do a 2WS, so if he's doing a 2WS too, oh well. Charlie and I are pretty close. As you guys all know, we used to have shops less than quarter mile apart, and then he moved and we were 7 miles apart, and we know each other really well. He's not shy to call me if he thinks I can help him out. And the inverse is true. It's probably 2 to 1. I probably call him 2 times for help for every 1 time he calls me, but he does call me occasionally for help, so I don't feel bad about calling him. So anyway, just make yours run and you win. Yeah. Charlie's a good mechanic. I've hung out with him quite a bit. He's a good mechanic. No one can deny that. So I'll give him that for sure. Anyway, all right, guys, you all have a good night. Again, appreciate you. I'll see you next week. And if you guys are going to make it out to Matt's, I'd love to meet all you guys. I'm definitely going to be there. I think I'm going to be there for like 4 days or something. I think it's a 2-day event. Plan on being there a day before and a day after. I don't want to be in there under any pressure getting set up and getting out of there. Did we move shops yet? Several people did ask that. We are moving right now. Anybody that's not, everybody's trying really hard to make sure that they stay busy, because anytime I see somebody not busy, and get out there. And so I rented a U-Haul. I mean, obviously I have lots of trailers and stuff, but U-Hauls are just so easy. They got the ramp. I rented a U-Haul, and I think the guys have made 5 loads. It's the biggest U-Haul you can get. So we've taken 5 loads over to the new shop. The wife just sent the money in for the first and last of the new shop today. So we officially take it over today. They've been fine with us moving stuff over there. So internet still sucks. We're still in the same shop, so. And unfortunately, we found out that we can't get fiber to the new shop. So I'm really hoping we'll take this Starlink, put it in the new shop, and it will do a lot better, because it's like 23 miles further south. It's going to have a lot less interference and a lot less. It should just, I mean, the Starlink on my boat kicks ass. I don't know why the Starlink here doesn't kick ass. And I'm hoping that moving further south is going to make the Starlink work a lot better. There'll be a lot less interference. So I think the internet will do a lot better, regardless of the fact. I really do. And we have I paid for the best fucking Starlink shit I could get. I got the super expensive for commercial use big ass dish. It should kick ass. So anyway, all right, right, you guys have a good night. Again, love you long time. Thanks for participating. See you next week. And hopefully see you guys at Matt's.